I think it would have looked very odd frankly, if Harry hadn't got on a plane and come to see his father at some point, around about now. The fact that it happened without any great prompting, I think that's encouraging. Clearly there are all sorts of issues that remain unresolved in what you call the soap opera, the sort of psychodrama. In his book, Harry's always talked about wanting apologies for this and that. I don't think that's going to be an issue now. I mean, blood is thicker than water. I think many families that have rifts will also have crises like a cancer diagnosis, and it's a time for coming together. So I find that encouraging. I don't think we should suddenly start expecting Harry to start returning to sort of royal duties or anything like that. We're not in that sort of territory. I think this is a straightforward filial reaction to bad news, and well done him for coming.
Our top story this lunchtime. Prince Harry expected a touchdown in the UK shortly on his way to see the King following the King's cancer diagnosis. The Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak, said he was shocked and sad to hear of Charles's diagnosis, but said it had been caught early. I'm joined now by Robert Hardman, journalist and author of Charles III, New King, New Court, The Inside Story. Hi, Robert. Thanks for joining us.
Morning, Matt.
Your book has only just come out, and this feels like a whole new chapter.
Yeah, I mean, none of us were expecting anything quite like this. Less than a year and a half into the new reign, I mean, it's obviously a big blow for the King, just as he's, as it were, finding his feet. And yet, I think he has found his feet. I mean, the monarchy is now at the point where we sort of stopped talking about it being a new reign and a new king, and I think there was a sense that things had settled down, and now, of course, he's got a new challenge. But he will deal with it. He's stoical. He's in as good health as could be for a 75-year-old. So he's trying to be as upbeat as possible.
Have you, in the last, I don't know how many it is, 18 hours or so since it came out, managed to find out any more, Robert? Rishi Sunak apparently sort of letting slip that it had been caught early. On how concerned are people around the King?
I think that the moment they're concerned about getting him to sort of rein in the paperwork. He's clearly under doctor's orders. He's not going to be out and about in public. He accepts that. That's something that he'll find frustrating, but that's the way it goes when you're undergoing this sort of treatment. But I'm told there hasn't really been any let up in the boxes, in the correspondence, all that kind of thing. So I'm not sure he's going to be the greatest patient for the moment. He doesn't. He is some might say, workaholic. I mean, he does. Stay up late. He, often past midnight writing letters. He loves writing letters. He loves piles of briefing notes. He, as someone said, one of his close aides said when I was doing my book, you can never put too much on his plate. Well, I'm afraid now maybe, they're going to have to ration that plate. So let's see how it all plays out. But I mean, there's certainly nothing constitutional to worry about at the moment. And if the Prime Minister is getting a heads up that things are, shall we say, better than had been expected, well, that's good.
And it's just interesting looking at the media reaction, the public reaction, from our listeners as well. Because he has been open about it, because he was open about his prostate treatment a couple of weeks ago as well. It does feel different to his mother, the late Queen, where actually her suddenly being taken quite ill happened very quickly, having not been told how serious things were. Also, bluntly, he is 75 years old. Men, even in the best of health, where they're 75, sometimes do get ill. And actually, removing some of the mystique around it means that perhaps it hasn't come as much of a shock as it did 18 months or so ago when suddenly we were told that, the late Queen was very ill. And when she, we were told she died just a few hours later.
Yes, I mean, the sudden decline of the Queen did take everybody by surprise, including the royal family. As I discovered while writing my book. I mean, that was a very swift from 2 days earlier, receiving one Prime Minister to see them resign, appointing another one. appearing smiling for the cameras. 2 days later, she was gone. I mean, that was an extraordinarily swift and unexpected turn of events. I mean, the announcement a couple of weeks ago with language like enlarged prostate. I mean, those are words you would not have seen on a palace bulletin before, and I think that reflects the sort of degree of greater transparency that we have seen already during this reign, and I think we can continue to see. I know some people have said, "Well, hang on. One minute we're told that he's going in for treatment for an enlarged prostate. That's very frank. Now we're not being told what sort of cancer he's got." I say, well, let's wait and see. I mean, I think thus far we've been given a pretty frank sit rep, and if things change, then we'll know more. But I think every patient will want to hold something back. If you set the precedent that you're going to tell everybody everything all the time, then that's I don't think any patient would put up with that.
No, you could well be right. Just finally, Robert, on the sort of the royal family soap opera. Let's be honest, that's what it can turn into sometimes. For you, these people, this family better than most. The significance of Prince Harry flying home right now.
I think it's good news. I think it would have looked very odd if Harry hadn't got on a plane and come to see his father at some point, around about now. The fact that it happened without any great prompting, I think that's encouraging. Clearly there are all sorts of issues that remain unresolved in what you call the soap opera, the sort of psychodrama. In his book, Harry's always talked about wanting apologies for this and that. I don't think that's going to be an issue now. I mean, blood is thicker than water. I think many families that have rifts will also have crises like a cancer diagnosis, and it's a time for coming together. So I find that encouraging. I don't think we should suddenly start expecting Harry to start returning to sort of royal duties or anything like that. We're not in that sort of territory. I think this is a straightforward filial reaction to bad news, and well done him for coming.
Robert, always good to speak to you. Robert Hardman there, author of Charles III, New King, New Court, The Inside Story. Thanks so much for joining us on Times Radio. No doubt having to update that when it comes out in paperback.